of course, he's back in the headlines again. It's every single Leinster press conference at this point where you get some sort of quote about Joey Carbery. It is the hot potato at the moment. And it's a fair point that you make earlier on about the timing of this being really, really, really bad timing, especially given this kind of hurtling towards the climax of the season, that over the past couple of weeks, this is still clearly, as you've informed me, been a very hot piece of the agenda over here. So when you think about Joey Carbery, though, and you think about the potential of him going to Ulster, let's say he's an Ulster player right now, and he's playing every game. It's not just about the game time. Like, I presume I haven't missed John Cooney leaving Ulster.
No.
He's still there. So you've got John Cooney at 9. You've got a player who's clearly hungry for success. He's a player who's made vast improvements this season for an Ulster team that looked doomed at certain parts of the season. He was the only shining light at certain times of the year. He's learned from someone like Christian Leala-Ufano this season. He's grown his game incrementally over the past couple of months. He's looking to learn. Joey Carbery's looking to learn. And you've got an unbelievably exciting half-back pairing right there. Like, is that not something that, as a neutral, we can be really excited about? Cooney and Carbery.
I mean, maybe.
Like, obviously, you've got your Leinster hat on right now. Yeah. Like, full stop. Like,
I've got my Leinster and I've got my Thai hat on. It's like, like the whole point of growing the game in the province is that the kids in the Thai don't want to play for Ulster. They don't, right? And nor should they. That shouldn't be part of their dreams.
But he will play for Leinster again.
Well, will he? Like, that's all bollocks. That's like, how do you know what's going to happen in the future? If he's an amazing success, Ulster are like, no, we want to keep you. If it doesn't work, it's like, well, Leinster are like, well, actually, another guy coming through here. Do you know, it's like, it's not really a win-win situation here if you think about it into the long term. I don't think. I think that, like, it's a weird, it's like introducing the cane toad to Australia. You've no clue what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Like, that's the potential for this to go horribly wrong.
To be fair, I might be saying something different. I'm not a Leinster fan. I'm not an Ulster fan. If this had involved...
If he wants to go, right? If he says, this is my best bet here for actually getting the number 10 jersey. But, like, nobody thinks that's realistic. So, I see Johnny Waterston drawing the comparison today with Robbie Henshaw moving. And it's like, oh, well, this works for Leinster. He's not saying that, but people have been saying, oh, it works for Leinster, it's grand when it's Robbie Henshaw. Robbie Henshaw wanted to leave. He wanted to go. It's not like he was kind of told, oh, you've got to go there because it's better for your international career. Like, Bundy is still playing away, and there's no block on anybody from Connacht playing for Ireland. I'd say you probably have to outperform Connacht, and you have to outperform the situation. You had to outperform your coaching situation last year. But, like, this is not a situation where he's knocking on the door going, I need game time. I want to go. I want to leave the most successful club in Ireland/Europe at the moment to go and play for Ulster. Now, if it's Munster coming and Munster make an offer and Munster make an approach and say, we have a European Cup winning set up here, we're just missing an out half, I think that's different. And, like, by all accounts, Munster are making phone calls saying, here, listen, we have an issue at 10.
But the other difference with the Robbie Henshaw thing is not just about what he wanted to do, it's also because he was joining a great province that has just moved past the Darcy and O'Driscoll era. I mean, you can't say that about Carbery right now when you still got Johnny Sexton in his absolute pomp. If he wants to become a number 10, that will not happen in the near future at Leinster. It just won't. Will 15 happen for him in the near future at Leinster? To a certain extent, there's also a question mark over that. I mean, Carney's not going to be around for much longer, but he's still playing unbelievable rugby. You've got Jordan Larmour waiting to play. Of course, you can shunt him out to the wing if you want. You've got Ross Byrne in wait as well there. If Ross Byrne, how good is Ross Byrne? We don't know yet. He's got the potential to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So the best thing from an Irish rugby perspective is for Joey Carbery to be playing at 10 for Ulster next season. But is
or Munster. I mean, I think the Munster conversation should be happening. Like, Ulster obviously feel like they have a bargaining chip because the decision to cancel the contracts of Jackson and Olding, they presumably feel like, well, the IRFU need to help them sort that out. So, I don't know. It's not the situation that we should be talking about in the build-up to the Champions Cup final. Stuart Lancaster was before the press yesterday, and he was obviously asked about this. Have a look. Here's the video.
Movement there. Are they going to leave or are they going to stay?
I don't know. If I'm being perfectly honest, I've not been privy to conversations. Obviously, they've been taking place with Leo and Ireland and Gaisby, etc. So, as far as I know, that Joey's preparing for a Champions Cup final, and that's the way it is because it's such a big week for us. So, I understand both sides of the story. I can see it from all points of view. I've been involved in these situations in England many times where you end up with a player and decision to make. And my belief has always been if you put the player at the centre and you do what's right for the player. How it plays out, I don't know, if I'm being honest, but it's certainly the furthest thing from our minds, and I'm sure Joey's mind this week. No. I mean, all the lads are 100% focused on this week. I mean, it's such a big week, you know, in the context of a season. You know, it's the goal that every club team wants to aspire to, is to get to a Champions Cup final, and there'll be no distractions. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because these things inevitably come up towards the end of the season, which is when the big competitions are. But I come back to the point I made, you know, that whenever I was in this position or involved in a player who had a decision to make, I always tried to say, right, what's going to be the right thing for the player? Not what's right for this party or that party, what's the right thing for the player? And as a consequence, you know, I think Joey's developed brilliantly at Leinster, and I think this is where he should stay.
So you would like to see him stay at Leinster?
Yeah, obviously, because he's such a good player, he's a talented player. I think it's through no fault of anyone's that he hasn't played as much this year. You know, he's been injured. But you know, now's not the time for those conversations, certainly not in a week as big as this.
Yeah, and what about Ross Byrne then? And also Joey as well, do you get the sense that he would prefer to stay at Leinster?
I'm been involved in the discussions, to be honest, but I'm just talking about my experience back with England and back in England. If you put the player at centre, then you don't go far wrong.
What do you think?
But you see, putting the player at the centre here doesn't automatically support your argument, because we don't know what Joey Carbery wants as the end goal. We know in the short term he's made the sounds.
He sat in that seat and said he doesn't want to go.
That's what he says in the short term. But what does he want in the long term? Does he want to become the best out half in the Northern Hemisphere? I suspect he does. Yeah. I suspect he wants to start at number 10 for Ireland and win more Grand Slams for Ireland. I suspect he wants to start at number 10 for Leinster and win more Champions Cups after they inevitably win on Saturday this year. That's what he wants. How does he best achieve that? It's not by sitting around at Leinster for the next couple of years. It's not. If he wants the best chance, he might achieve it, but if he wants the best chance of achieving that, he needs to start at 10 now. He needs to be a starting out half right now.
It did Johnny Sexton absolutely no harm sitting behind Felipe Contepomi for a long period of time. He was 24 before he was getting his break. Joey Carbery is already miles ahead of where Johnny Sexton was at a comparative age. Because
that's a class complete. He's done the whole learning from somebody. That's that done. Maybe Johnny Sexton just took a little bit longer to absorb all the Felipe Contepomi lessons.
Not done. It's not. It absolutely isn't done. Like, he's not the finished player. He's not the finished article. He hasn't fully learned how to run games. He hasn't learned how to win matches that the team are losing and performing badly in a way that Johnny Sexton can do. There's still a massive, significant gap between them. And closing that gap, playing behind a pack that is going to go backwards in an environment where you're not entirely sure whether or not the head coach is actually going to be there. Like, Ulster do not have their ducks in a row. If this was Munster who were making this play, you'd be like, all right, that Munster team is ready to go. They're locked and loaded. The one thing they're missing is a world-class 10. Off you go. But to go to Ulster at this point in Ulster's history, I think it's absolutely the wrong move for him. Now, if it was Munster, I think you can make a case for, okay, this is a team who will properly be competing, who has a pack that if they add another second row and maybe another prop, will actually be able to dominate across Europe. But they are not doing that at the moment in Ulster. They're not a team who can actually qualify from the Pro 14. They couldn't get to the playoffs. Like, they have to have a playoff to qualify for the Champions Cup. This is not a team who is 1-10 away from being competitive, and I just think that
doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
It does.
What does that matter to Joey Carbery that his team? Why can't Joey Carbery step up to the mantle and say, "Listen, I'm going to learn what it's like to be a number 10 when our pack is terrible. I'm not going to learn as much from a team where Johnny Sexton is holding my hand. He's telling me what to do in training. He might even be giving me. He'll be giving me my high five as I come onto the pitch.
I think that's a mischaracterization. I think that also that clearly, as the rest of that press conference spoke about, the Bowden Barrett comparison, where he can play 15 as well. Where actually, if you take the number of games that Sexton is rested and the number of games that Kearney is rested, there's going to be 1,000 games.
And how big are those games?
Well, plenty big. Champions Cup games. Like, he will play Champions Cup games next season at 10 or 15. Also,
like 2 of them.
Also, Johnny Sexton's injury record is not amazing. He's actually had the best year in, I would say, about 4 or 5 years in terms of injuries when it comes to representing Ireland / Leinster. That does not happen. This is not a stereotypical Johnny Sexton year.
Joey Carbery will not learn as much playing against Newport Gwent Dragons, the Dragons, next season, as he will playing the Interpro derbies for Ulster or for Munster. There is no question about that.
For Munster, I accept it. We have a different argument.
Sure.
I think it's a completely different argument.
I think it's game time.
Is Carbery that good at 10? Willie Casey says, has Byrne not come up to be number 2?
Fair point.
Well, we don't know, because here's the thing. He was injured for most of the season when he would have been getting game time. Like, there's a possibility that he would have done absolutely sensational things around those Christmas fixtures in particular, but he just didn't get the opportunity to do it. So, again, let's wait and see what it's like when he has a proper full season as the second choice number 10, second choice number 15.
And we'll have the exact same argument in 12 months' time.
Yeah, at which point we all know Joey Carbery's really, really good and ready to go.
In the week of when Leinster are about to win their second Champions Cup on the trot, and they've trounced everybody in Europe, and
that's not a bad situation.
It's a great situation, and he will learn from that. Don't get me wrong, he will still learn at Leinster. He will learn more from being the starting number 10.